So talking about, you touched upon something which is the heart of this conversation, right? Which comes back to diversity, right? And whether it's diversity of thought, diversity of execution. How have you seen leadership across the industry embrace the fact that, hey, to your point about how does we need diverse thinkers, right, to in order to be able to counter a diverse enemy, and yet it seems to be moving at a snail's pace, relatively speaking, when talking about, hey, how do you embrace people who may not do well in an interview, right? But once they're in, they could be really effective as a SOC analyst, right? So how do you kind of break that logjam, if you will?
I'm going to flip it on its head. I mean, so this is also too like where you have a lot of sexism in cybersecurity, where as a woman, like I get looked at and people attribute some of my success just because of my soft skills, and they'll overlook the fact that I have technical skills. Um, and so it's a delicate balance and it's a delicate dance. And I think the whole thing though is, and Samara does this super, super well, is that she staffed our team as a team of varying skill sets, and they need to be complementary. And so you can't just hire 10 unicorns. You need to hire a whole bunch of different people who have different skill sets who can work together at the end of the day and can kind of, where one person is weak, the other person is strong. So again, not everyone needs to be really technically skilled. Not everyone needs to be able to give a presentation or read off a slide deck, but like you do sometimes need people who can do these things. So yeah.
But Bree, what do you want to add to that? Again, like I said, I've known Samara for a while right now, and I completely agree with. I mean, but that kind of leadership, unfortunately, is very rare, even though it should be more mainstream. Right? So managers going out of the way, bringing in diverse candidates who actually complement each other, like you were saying, Caitlin. How have you seen that evolve over the decade that you've been in the industry?
A lot of it also I've seen is organizations. Me, previously, I was in Homeland Security related contracting. And at my old position, leadership always there was no diversity. It was always the white male was the leader, followed by white male, white male, white male. That's basically what they were, because they thought, oh, this is normal, this is acceptable. And it's not really been pushed to the forefront for a lot of these companies. Go, we need to diversify, we need to find more than just the normal white male for everything.
Got it. So one question, which is again, given the fact that you guys are both in healthcare, is there anything unique to the healthcare vertical as it relates to cybersecurity talent, or either ease with which people come in and embrace it, or is it harder, or is it just like any other vertical, nothing unique about healthcare? So either of you can go.
Do you want to go, Brie?
I need to think about that question again.
Well, I mean, I'll say, so as Bree said, it's all about organizations. So Cardinal Health, like literally Lori, our CISO, one of our missions at Cardinal Health is it's in our mission as a company is diversity and inclusion. And we talk about it at every town hall meeting from the CEO down. And that includes Lori, who talks about it in every single interview. She talks about how diversity and inclusion is at the forefront of Cardinal. So I previously worked for a SOC that just had healthcare clients. I've worked for really small healthcare providers and large healthcare providers. So I've seen things run the gamut. And I wouldn't say it's something about the vertical as a whole, but again, how the organization decides to implement it. And Cardinal, I think, has been really successful about moving forward in that space. So
got it. Bree, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a healthcare thing where it's more diverse on the talent, or if it's just our organization. This is my first healthcare organization I've ever worked for. But yeah, at Cardinal Health, it's diverse. It's great.
Yeah.
It's night and day between my two companies.
So one final question. Again, let's Bree, let's start with you, which is, how does somebody who doesn't belong in a community which has ever dealt with systemic racism, or didn't have to go through the quote unquote the longer path to get to where they are. I mean, have you seen instances where people feel it, and once they feel it, they understand and they're able to empathize and to your point, to be able to embrace the culture? So how does somebody who hasn't dealt with this through their childhood or their teens or even past jobs even understand why DEI is so important and how they can be more welcoming of initiatives that, frankly, for them, it takes a while to even understand what that is. So any tips that you've seen people who got converted like this because of a light bulb moment or life experiences, or even dealing or encountering or experiencing other people and they're sitting with them and talking it out?
Yeah, it's a lot of people, they have to actually look and see it firsthand. And then that can spark a change I've seen. Like, if they are never exposed to seeing this, how it impacts everybody, they aren't going to change. They aren't even going to think about it. They're just going to be like, oh, this is all normal. But once they see and hear the stories, I've seen it starts to slowly tip that change in their personality and, how they handle making sure that they are inclusive and accepting and just better people.
Good. Caitlin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think obviously anyone who's been in a minority group has probably felt some sort of exclusion, whether it's very passive or whether it's really aggressive and overt. And I think when you, particularly if we're talking about just in the workplace, if you've lived like a really sheltered life, when you start being friends with people and you start to hear their stories, as Bree was saying, like, you start to get it more. And I think that's one of the nice things about the remote workforce too, is that it's opening up and making it more diverse and bringing people from all across the country together. And you're interacting with people that if you live in the middle of Idaho, you wouldn't necessarily be working with normally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's one of the things that I think is really important about remote work, because you start having these friendships and relationships with people that you might not have necessarily. I think that's really important. Again, it's just like empathy and empathizing in the human aspect. And also, again, just being an ally too, particularly for people you work with. That's really important to me anyways. So.
Wow. Yeah. Great conversation again. Thanks for your time. I know, like I said, it's late for you on a Friday evening. So thanks for taking the time, Bree. Thanks for taking the time, Caitlin, and good luck.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.